I think
So
that's one of the
the very first person, I can never forget the very first person that joined 17 minutes after. And the person had me talking, right? I was wondering, like, who is this man talking to? Like, he had to unmute his mic. And I said, sorry, sir, are you fine? I'm like, no, it's okay. We've started. You're like, but nobody's on the call. I said, they left. You just joined. So he was like that for me.
I think that's one of the things.
So I like what you do, sticking to the standard. That's the only way forward.
I think that's one of the things our professionals are enforcing these days. Because when I was in law school too, once you are a minute late, past 8, trust me, you will be marked absent for that day. Once you're a minute late, you'll be so everybody will. And when we're in law school, everybody will definitely stick to the time, and your attendance starts counting since the day you arrive in law school. So once you miss about 10 or 20 attendance, you're not writing back finals. So that's one of the things that we were trained with.
It's that crazy.
Yes. So that's one of the things that we were trained with. So you have to stick to time. You have to be punctual in class. Like if you miss 10 or 15, 20 attendance, max 20, you won't write back finals, and you come back next year. So it is important we start enforcing this punctuality menace in our own individual capacity. I can't hear you.
No. Sorry, I'm talking to Measure. Okay. I think. Hey, Ahmed, can you hear us now? We were trying to call you on the other call. You were not.
Yeah, so I stepped away from my laptop for a minute or thereabout, then I realized when I came back, I realized that you have asked me to unmute. Said, "Oh, it's what it is." So it's
No, we basically just want to hear your voice, encourage the graduates and stuff like that. Yeah, you are the brain behind everything. I'm just if the last course, you guys basically did everything. Basically, I was not doing anything. So who best talk to them than
Mr.
you?
Leon doesn't like to take accolades. He just dash everybody. It is well.
I
It is
tell
well.
you, I second that.
What are you seconding?
Mr. Leon, I like this your cap, and I'm coming for it.
You know my head is bigger than yours. So, you have hair.
I'll manage it.
Your hair will come out.
Accommodate it.
Okay, so we should be starting. I think we've had, how many people do we have on the call now? We've have 8 people on the call, which makes a lot of sense. We could start now. But please give me a moment. I need to. Are we all connected? Okay, great. Oh, you're not connected. Are you connected? Okay, great. I want her to set up that place. No, you bring the mouse back to the main screen, to the laptop. I extended the screen. Or can you help with that? I extended the screen, so let me bring it back so that you can set up the Zoom there so that you can use the main screen directly. Okay, great. Give me a moment. Sorry about this. Is the class starting right now? Yes, it is. Give me a moment. Please. Remind me. I have plenty screen open in my phone, so I'm trying to juggle around this to still the 10 line. Okay, great. Is everyone with me? Can I be heard?
Yes, very audible.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and it's a great pleasure to see you today and hear you. For those who have not heard before, this is the Face of Liberty monthly webinar, and we have today amazing speakers, top notch in their field, the top 1% in their field. Trust me, these guys know, oh, this guy's a lady before they come from my hands. These guys and this lady knows what they are talking about. They know what they are doing and they know how they are doing it. Today, we are going to be talking about the thin line between freedom of speech and cyberbullying. At what do you think your freedom of speech starts infringing on the rights of the next person? What is the legal side of things? What is the legal interpretation? What are the points when you start becoming a crime for you to talk to someone the way you talk to the person? At what point do your write up on Twitter becomes a crime? He does not like to be called barrister, but barrister advocate Abdulwasiu Mujib will be telling us what the Federal Republic of Nigeria Act and the Universal Human Rights Act says about this. When it comes to the mental health side of things, how does it affect people? What you post online, how you post it. At what point does what you post turn to negativity in the mind of other people? Intent. We are going to be listening to 𝐸𝒊𝒆𝒆, who is a guru when it comes to mental health. They call him apropos Dr. Boy, and he's a mental health advocate and even an health practitioner. Still a student, anyways, but he's a practitioner, anyways. He's going to be talking to us about the mental tolls that comes from this. And we are also going to be listening to communication, how to write for normal communication on social media or even speaking to someone without going beyond your freedom of speech. Like our people used to say in the libertarian world, your right ends where your finger ends. At the tip of your finger is where your right ends. If you stretch forward, you are infringing on the right of another person. Does that translate to cyberbullying and also freedom of speech? Today is going to be a very, very, very big one. And trust me, the set of people that we have are going to do justice to it. We are doing this in a plenary session manner. We are going to first pick the mental toll. What is the mental problem that comes? I say mental problem. When I say, is someone mad? No, I'm not talking about madness. Mental problem doesn't mean someone is crazy. There's a lot of things that goes into mental problem. So, over to you, Rex. Tell us, at what point do our freedom of speech get into cyberbullying? And what is the toll, the mental toll of cyberbullying on our mental health as humans? Over to you, Rex. Can he hear me? Or is he muted? Oh, I think the network has thrown Rest out. Rest, mic check. Okay. I think I'll have to come back to Rest, please. Barrister Mujib, can you hear me? Okay, I saw you moving.
I can hear you.
Great, great, great. So we'll come back to Rest. We'll come back to Rest later. The Federal Republic of Nigeria, the number one constitution of this country is our constitution as amended in 1999. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah, you're right. Definitely, you're right.
And it's the biggest law enforceable in the land. Am I right or am I right?
You're right. You're right.
Great. So what does the Constitution say about cyberbullying and freedom of speech? What does the Cybercrime Act say about cyberbullying and freedom of speech? And let's take it a bit to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Tell us, at what point do my freedom of speech categorize as cyberbullying? And what is the crime? What is the penalty? What is the consequence of cyberbullying? Over to you, Majid.
Okay, thank you for having me. Okay, so I will start by saying we only have in Nigeria, as far as Nigeria is concerned, we only have two laws that governs freedom of speech and cyberbullying, so to say. So we have the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. We also have the Cybercrime Act. Meanwhile, at the global level, we have the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which applies to all countries because it's a universal law. So, however, although we have other laws that are associated with crimes, but it is not associated with, cybercrime was enacted in response to the growing, let's say, like bullying and threatening of all sorts on social media. But we have other laws that address crime, so to say, but not associated with anything technology. We have the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015, and we have the Prevention of Crimes Act, which was to prevent crimes and to administer criminal justice system in Nigeria. So coming back to the Constitution, we have Section 34, Section 39, that says that everyone has the right to everyone has freedom to his thoughts, to his opinion, to say as far as government policy is concerned, as far as anything is concerned. Meanwhile, it doesn't go without exceptions. The exception was provided for under the Section 45 of the same Constitution that says the right to freedom of speech doesn't extend to saying something that will cause what? That will cause the breach of public peace, or saying something that threatens another welfare of somebody else, or the national peace, or the health system of the country. So these are the exceptions. These exceptions are captured under the Cybercrime Act 2015. That is why it is important to draw the thin line between the freedom of speech and the exception to the freedom of speech, which this program is all about. So like I said, the exception was what was captured in the Cybercrime Act. When we check the Section 24 of the Cybercrime Act, it says that everybody is prohibited to threaten another person or bully or share pornographic content online. To share pornographic content online that threatens another person's well-being, or to utter statements that threatens the national peace. Okay, now let me cite an example now. For instance, now, there was a time I was interviewed about a statement made on Twitter. Someone said, all Yoruba guys are criminal. All Yoruba guys are criminal. Then I compared the statement with saying, okay, for example, you said, I saw Adelaja at Lekki yesterday assaulting his driver. So it's important to draw distinction between the two statements. When we say, okay, all your white guys are criminal, and I saw Adelaja yesterday at Lekki bus stop assaulting his driver. The second one is a statement of fact, backed by evidence. Of course, you saw someone, you must wait to provide evidence. And the first one, you said all your Bibles are criminal. Of course, anybody is in its right thinking sense knows that not all your Bibles are criminal. Though it's not possible for all your boys to be saints. But of course, they'll be criminal. So a person utter that statement, we know that definitely it's an hate speech that threatens the unity of the country. Compared to saying you saw Adelaja, who is a Yoruba man, threatening or assaulting his driver at Lekki yesterday. So it's a statement of fact. So that's why it is important to withdraw the thin line between the freedom of speech, saying fact as you see, as you know, and then crossing the line to saying something more awful or like an hate speech that threatens the national security or the well-being of another person. So this is what is being captured under the Constitution and under the Cybercrime Act. The exception to the provisions of the Constitution, Section 39, which was provided for in Section 45, was what was captured in Section 24 of the Cybercrime Act. So you can say anything, as the saying goes, like freedom of speech is guaranteed, but freedom after speech is not guaranteed. You can say anything, but once what you are saying is crossing the line to threaten the national peace, or someone is being bullied by a statement, you are crossing the line, and all these things you are saying on social media, then you are crossing the line, and you are offending the provisions of Section 24 of the Cybercrime Act. So that's the position. And then, to your question about the punishment, the consequence of going against the provision of Section 24 of the Cybercrime Act. When you check the Section 27 of the same Act, it provides that for someone who has been convicted of the offense in Section 24 will be given a maximum of 10 years imprisonment, or I think 500,000 fine. So it's within this discussion of the court to give you an imprisonment. It depends on, some courts will see the gravity of what you've done. So if another person has been affected by your bullish statement or your unguided statement, maybe someone has committed a suicide, the court may be inclined to give you a sentence. So if it is something like that, the court may be inclined to just give you a fine. So these are the provisions provided under Section 27 of the Cybercrime Act. Then when we move on to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, like they are the same provisions under the Section 39 of the Constitution and the Article 19 of the Cybercrime Act of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It's basically saying the same thing, that everybody has the freedom of speech, but you don't cross the line to bully another person with your speech, or cause national disunity or breach of public peace with your speech. So definitely the logic is, once you are saying something, you are saying something backed by facts. So you are still reasonable, you are still within the line of Section 39 and Article 19. But once what you are saying is not reasonable and you don't have evidence of it, it's just an unguided statement, then you should know that you have crossed the line, then you are within the exception. So that's basically what I can say to the question.
Thank you very much, Mujib. And for me, I have like two questions to ask you, and I hope other people on the call too are already preparing for their questions. Please, if you have a question for Mujib, write it down. By the time we are done with everybody, the three panelists, we are going to ask the question all together. But I want to pick your brain on two things right now, Jim, before I go to Rex. I think that Rex is back.
I was
Can you
bullied by
compare? No, you are bullied by your network. Can you compare the protection of free speech in Nigeria with global examples like the United States or the European Union?
Okay. Of course, it is uncomparable. Let me say this. I think in Nigeria today, we do not understand what cyberbullying is, or we purposely fail to do the distinction between freedom of speech and cyberbullying. And because mostly what Nigerians do today, especially the influential and the political players, what they do today is to use those sections under the Section 24 of the Cybercrime Act. Then they twist the section to oppress people who are definitely spewing facts. Okay, for instance, now, there was a time, one of my friends wrote a story, 𝐽𝐩𝐸𝐻, this was a story about an uncompleted, a shady project being executed by the Kwasi Polytechnic. You know, it's a story definitely backed by facts and documents. So before we knew, he was arrested and he was charged to court. In fact, one of the journalists in ICR, I spoke to him about the story. What I said was, there's no way you can compare what was said in the story and the provisions under the Section 24 of Cybercrime Act. It is definitely a clear case of bullying or trying to twist the section in Section 24 to use it to your own advantage. You know, when someone writes a story that you executed a project meant for the public, you were giving money and you did a shady job, provided by evidence of the project, then documents of what amount that was sent to you and an estimate of what you spent. This is not more an issue of bullying or threatening public peace. It's even part of the things we should encourage because it calls for accountability. The moment we start encouraging, like using the section in the Cybercrime Act for our own advantage, that means we are trying to shut our door against accountability in Nigeria, which is something that is being in play. So you can see from cases from cases obtainable in Western countries like UK, US, you cannot compare what is being played out in Nigeria. In Nigeria, most of what is being played out is trying to oppress people, trying to gag the press, and trying to shut people up not to say anything. There was a time I had a client who came to me he said, lawyer, one of my business associates published something against me. He said, I failed to remit his return on investment. Then he has started publishing about me online and it has damaged my business. Then I told him, do you have evidence that you've paid his return on investment? If you have, then come forward, we can file a defamatory suit. We can seek for damages. Up to today, I didn't see him. When I examined those publications, I realized that there were facts. There were facts. Someone invested in your business and you failed to remit return on investment, and you expect them to keep quiet. No, it's not done. And you as a business owner, you rushed to me that I should help you write a petition against him. So it's in Nigeria, all we are doing is to oppress others and try to shut up people. So are you expecting him to keep quiet and forget about his money? So I think we have a lot to do as far as the provisions of Section 24 is concerned, and the provision of Section 39 is concerned, because we are not, obviously we are not using it very well.
All right, thank you very much, Barrister Advocate Mujib, for that. For a refresher, we're talking about the thin line between freedom of speech and cyberbullying. Freedom of speech is the right to express opinion without censorship or legal penalty. On the other hand, cyberbullying involves using electronic communication to intimidate, to harass, or humiliate others. Mujib has already told us what it means to get into that and what the penalty is, even though to a larger extent, Nigeria, as a case study, is not doing that. But we'll keep talking about it and we'll see. I'm going to come back to you, Mujib. Let me go to intent and impact. What is the intent versus impact when we're talking about? Because the truth of the matter is, not every conversation or not every controversial post is made out of ill intent. Sometimes people just make conversations because they just want to make it, or because that's what how they were thinking at that particular point in time. But how it is received can be damaging. I think Mujib mentioned something like that. Misinterpretations, satire, and criticism most times often leads to emotional distress. To spend it online. Let me give you an instance. Someone said something about me like over a year that we met, and this thing starts spreading. It starts spreading like wildfire. And when I eventually get to hear about it, I wanted to reach out to the guy and do everything I need to do about him. But someone told me, "Did you do anything in that regard?" I said, "No." He said, "Let him be what he's doing. We don't even believe him in the first place. That is, you to do what he was asking, telling us about you. But not everybody will have that kind of mindset." So let's talk about the mental side of things. What is the intent and what is the impact? Rest. How can we distinguish between satire, criticism, and actual cyberbullying? Let me give an instance. There is a comedian or a satirist in the US called Stephen Colbert. This guy will roast Donald Trump to the last extent, but we know it's just basic satire. For those that don't know what satire means, it's a form of comedy. So, at what point do we distinguish between a satire, a criticism, and actual cyberbullying?
Thank you very much, Mr. Leonard. It was nice hearing from what Barrister has been able to say. And to dive right into the question, I would dive right into that. But I'd like to say something before that, because I like how you really asked about what the mental health implications have been about cyberbullying. We don't talk about it enough. And the reason why we don't talk about it enough is just like Barrister said, we don't have laws in place that allow us to even talk about these things. As we currently know it, statistics, I like to run by fact, tell us that about 50, it's even getting worse nowadays. It's not even starting from adulthood again. It's going to the little children. And that's the bane, that's the core of what we really do. Because everything that we know, so far so good, that has to do with mental health issues starts from childhood. We know now for a fact that most of mental health issues begin before the age of 25. Meaning, whatever is going to play out in your life regarding mental health issues, whether it's depression, whether it's anxiety, whatever it be, start before you're even 25. And the cyberbullying we're talking about today, statistics tells us that over 50% of children, 50%, meaning half of the population of children we have in the world today, have been cyberbullied. Take that in for a moment. Think of all the children you know. Half of them, according to statistics, have been cyberbullied. I'll tell you a real story, and nobody should criticize me for this. It was my days of ignorance. I repeat, it was my days of ignorance. I didn't exactly cyberbully, but I want to use this to link to the question he asked. This was like sometime back in 2016. This was not even cyberbullying at all. But I want to pick a perspective from that to link to the question Mr. Leonard has asked. In 2016, I had this, call him a family friend, a uncle, returned from the United Kingdom. And we went to visit him. And I saw him and I'm like, Jesus Christ, you are fat. That was what I said. I looked at him in the face and I just said it out of awe. I've not seen you in a really long while. The last time I saw you, you looked skinny and now you've put on flesh. That was what I meant. So I just told him, you're fat. And then he said to me, oh, rest. Did you know what you just told me is a form of bullying? I'm like, what do you mean? I called you fat. I said you're fat. What do you mean I bullied you? Why are you saying like from where to where? I'm like, oh, you these Oyibo people, sha. And then he said, you could say I've gained weight. You could say I'm big. But calling me fat is an insult. And that was the very first time in my life I knew it was not okay to call somebody fat. But come to Nigeria, you see the nearest fat person, the first thing that comes to your mind, Orobo. You just say it. It's just normal, right? And we don't know to what extent that stays with people, the extent it affects them up here. And then fast forward, say 9 years after, I go on to become a mental health advocate. I go on to take training in psychology. And then I was talking to this young boy during counseling one time. And then he specifically looked me in the eye and said he came for mental health counseling. And then he said he's anorexic. What that means is he's refusing to eat intentionally. He's stabbing himself on purpose. And then I asked him why. That led him to being depressed. That led him to being anxious. So the two of the top leading mental health issues that we know today are anxiety and depression. And look at, I'll explain to you how cyberbullying links to this and go on to explain the difference between satire, critiquing, and cyberbullying. He said to me that people look at his pictures online and say fat boy. People look at him in person and call him fat. And that was when it dawned on me that the same experience I had in 2016 that I said to an elderly person that literally meant nothing to him, but just a form of correction, like you don't call people fat, is the same thing happening to a younger person. And because of that, he has stabbed himself. He does not stand in front of a mirror. He's almost clinically depressed. What does that mean? Same words, fat. I told an elderly person, did nothing. I told someone else was told, a younger person, you are fat. He had to come for therapy. He had to come for counseling. When it comes to satire, like you've said, I think the strongest distinction between these three, one of the biggest things that shows the distinction for me, from my perspective, from what we know, is the intent and awareness. And I'll explain what I mean by that. Look at people like Steve that Mr. Leonard talked about, people like Trevor Noah. Everybody is aware of who these people are. When they come up on stage, even the comedians, the normal comedians we have in Nigeria, I go die. I don't know them a lot, but I know we have a number of them. They come up on stage and then they look at a normal person and they say, "That your airline that looks like half plot," and everybody laughs about it. And it's all good and it's all fine. And the very same word is said to you. Someone comes under your Instagram posts and comments, "Your airline be like half plot." And the next pictures on your Instagram, you remove profile picture, your last thing is off on WhatsApp, you off read receipts. Why? Because somebody commented on your airline. The two major distinctions are in the intent and the awareness. Intent is on the receiver's end, is on the giver. Awareness is on the recipient. So for satire, the intent behind it, it was not meant to cause harm. It was just meant for fun, for humor. And that's why they tell some people, take a joke. Like, come on, I'm just kidding with you. Like, this thing is not that deep. So let me give you a real practical example. I was scrolling on Instagram the other day. So Mr. Leonard called me 𝐴𝒄𝒄 boy.
𝐴𝒄𝒄 boy have taken internet with me. All right. Let's hope he comes back soon. All right, but while we wait for him, I believe he's going to come back soon. We have our thought speaker on the call, which is my hope my wife is not on the call. My favorite side babe. I try to call her politician. She's a politician. The politician, but also a media person. So don't hear any other thing that she says that she's not a politician. Number one priority, she's a politician. Exactly. And I deliberately give her social media because of one thing and one thing only. She posted something recently about what nearly happened to her and why he deleted her Twitter account since the last election. So he's going to be talking. She's going to be. Why am I saying maybe because he's cutting here? Sorry, she's cutting here. She looks like a man. So social media platforms play a very major role in shaping this culture, especially these days. Nobody waits on radio, television to get into now. Even in a country as advanced as the United States, the president wants to give more people hear their press release or main thing from Twitter, from Truth platform, social media, it's shaping discussion in a lot of ways. But are they doing enough or are they doing too much? How do we balance moderation without censorship? Is that a challenge for tech giants? So I'm going to go to Temiloluwa Oyeniyi. Are content moderation system on major platforms, are they adequate or enough when it comes to freedom of speech and cyberbullying?
All right. Thank you so much, Leonard, for that question. And thank you for the warm welcome. I apologize for coming late. Yeah, so first of all, on this particular webinar, I am a media person. So I just thought to point that out. So I think majorly we play about a lot of things in Nigeria. And I will tell you the story behind me deleting the Twitter app on my phone. Maybe after this webinar, I'm going to, come back. So basically, I remember 2023 election, I was very involved. I was part of the re-election team for 𝐸𝐸𝐞𝐞𝐫𝐞 2.1, which is for 𝐤𝐸𝐸𝐞𝐞𝐫𝐞. And so I was really involved in, grassroots elections. So basically, I was taking on speaking engagements that would help, project the Oyo State governor and also, and they were like back to back, back to back. If in fact before then, I remember the general elections as well. I was really involved in the general election because I was doing a project on persons with disabilities, and that has to do with elective elections and all that. So I think that's where it all started. About three things or thereabout stood out for me regarding cyberbullying, regarding social media moderation and everything. Number one is fake news, misinformation, and disinformation. We know that that is a norm in Nigeria. However, it was really a big deal in the 2023 elections. And the second thing is bullying, irrespective of who you are. Some people just want to hide behind their keyboards and they just want to talk to you anyhow, really. It is I wouldn't say whether it's intentional or unintentional, but the fact is that they are really high profile individuals that they're just innocent. I remembered one very one that really got me angry was when 𝐵𝒉𝒐𝒍𝒐 Okonjo-Iweala posted that she just voted at her polling unit and everything. Oh God. Oh God. She didn't hear the last of it. She didn't hear the last of it. They insulted her. They spoke to her anyhow. There were a lot of misinformation, spread across on our DM in our in the comment section and all of those things. And then, I was like, what is this? I mean, yes, she must have done maybe something wrong at some point, but I mean, this is so wrong. Because she said, oh, election was peaceful at her polling unit and all of those things. And everybody just came at her that she's lying, she's this, she's that, and all those things. They started insulting her and all, that was it for me. And then the last thing is that, particularly on Twitter, what I've observed is that most people, and I stand to be corrected, most people on Twitter, they don't take their time to assess. They are really driven by their emotions, and that's quite unfortunate. They are driven by their emotions. They don't take their time to analyze things. I'm a political person, and I just go on Twitter. I'm always very careful of what I post on Twitter. I don't even think, since I started using Twitter, I don't think I've posted so often, but you whatever you say is like it will be held against you in the court of law. Like Twitter is is a court of law on its own, that you get your judgments like almost immediately. And so people don't really take their time to analyze things, analyze issues before they give their point of view. Yes, everybody has the right to their own opinions. However, there's also that gap, sort of, that you have to just do your analysis. I'm not exactly a legal practitioner, but you know, at least there are some things that before you go online to say, you have to get your facts right. Just like the first speaker mentioned, you have to get your facts right. You have to do a little bit of assessment from your hand before you do that. So now coming back to Leonard's question, the first thing I would say is that unfortunately for a lot of young people in Nigeria, we don't take into cognizance research, and that's quite unfortunate. It's before I post anything on social media, I use LinkedIn a lot, like a lot. Before I post anything on social media, there are a few things that I take note of. Number one is that if I'm putting a topic to my content, does it affect anybody? Is there someone out there that will feel less by what I post, less in the sense that, inferiority complex and all of those things. As much as I cannot control it, I can still read through for myself and find out if this thing is truly okay for me to post. Then another thing is the content. I do my research. I don't just put statistics, about 𝐝𝐞𝐞% of 𝐝𝐞𝐞. No, 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 no. I don't do that. So I try to play safe and I do my research. I do my research about a particular topic. I draw inference from my personal experience so that someone would not say, oh, this person went and cast me on social media. So I draw inference. I put reference through from my own personal experience. Then the third thing I think I do is that as much as possible, I try to, how do I say this? I try to also see from my own point of view the kind of audience that I have. Yeah, the kind of audience that I have. So I have observed that a lot of people just go on social media without having an understanding of how to use it, because they have the right to their own opinion. They feel, they can say anything they wish to do. But of course, there's also that how do I put it? That difference, I think the second speaker was talking about satire and all of those things. Is easy to express yourself using some of those figures of speech and all of those things, but to a large extent, they communicate. You might think is humor, like you might think is funny, but they communicate a lot of things. I think I was scrolling through IG yesterday, and one of the celebrities posted on IG, just like the thing and move on. I mean, it's not so hard to do, but because some people want to put extra sauce, why? Because they want to get attention. They want to use it as clickbait. That's why I literally just hate Twitter, because there are actually some people that have sense. It's not that they don't have sense, but they want to use it as clickbait, because when you say something, it's easy for people to come back to it and like it and do this and do that. But really, it does not really make sense. So I call Twitter Ogba. Let me know if you say it, I beg. So, but basically, while your intention might be artistic, humorous, or even educational, the impact often carries more weight in the public eye than the intent. So, but the challenge that we have is that most times places like Twitter, you can post anonymously, and then but the truth is that some of the things that will post encourage exaggeration or provocation. It's easy to express language, to cross into personal attack, mockery, or public shaming, and which are the hallmarks of cyberbullying. So, for instance, in my own personal experience, um, I just believe that from my own personal experience that people don't take their time to, think first. Just take a pause, think first. In fact, sometimes before I put comments on social media, I try to think first. What's the message that this person is trying to communicate? And it has happened to me before that that's happened to me before that I almost even downloaded a video on IG. I almost even liked it, just like last one. I'm in the public space, so just to like can actually cobalize me, given the kinds of comments that are under, the video. There's a way the algorithm works. So I almost liked that thing, but something just told me to check out the comments. And when I checked out the comments, I saw a lot of bad news in the comment section. I say, I beg. Let me just let me just hold on to it, because at some point in my life, especially during election, someone almost posted a story with a picture of somebody else. That person looks exactly like me, looks almost like me. Let me not say exactly. Almost posted a news story and, thought I was the one. Unfortunately, it was an opposition party that the person took picture with. And thankfully, thankfully, she just sent the story to a junior colleague of mine, to help her check and edit, and was now like, I even saw your colleague, this popular lady, when we were in school, Temiloluwa, is she not your colleague? And all that. I said, oh yeah, send me the picture, let me see. And then she sent it, and the guy was like, no, this is not Temiloluwa, and now sent the picture to me to check and all that. So imagine if I had granted a webinar series, talking about the good works of 𝐲𝐸_Makinde. Imagine now them seeing me snapping picture with an opposition party. That's like very crazy. And so when she sent the picture to me, I just said, what? Like the guy literally almost posted that news story. And I was telling my friend that, you know what? This is the problem. I don't know if the lady later posted the story, but I just had to go on my social media and just say, disclaimer, a picture can be going around with a picture of me. And my friends were like, post it, let us see. Post it, Ke. No, I beg you. I can't post it on even my WhatsApp status so that you people can go and be spreading it. So I think that before you, as a young person, before you start using your gadgets, before you start, responding to comments and all of those things, you have to first decide the kind of user you want to be. Are you a user that is driven by your emotions, or you are a user that is driven by, critical thinking and, facts? Is very, very important. So I think I've been able to answer the question.
You think you've been able to convince us rather than confuse us, but it's like you confuse us the more. Anyway, but we convinced. Thank you very much, Kemi. I'm going to come back to you. I think I see Red back in the building.
My network is a cyber bully.
Yes, I know. So, let me come to you in this way. Why is understanding the impact of the message is as important as the intent? That was what you are speaking upon before your network took you away. Please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And to just pick it up from where I was at, I was saying that, take for instance, okay, my video is off.
Yes, sir.
You can't see me. Good gracious. This is part of cyberbullying that I'm going through, because I can see myself. Can you see me?
No, we can't see you. Maybe you should just continue. No problem.
Wow. So I was saying that I told someone that they were fat. That was my intent, was to tell this person that you look big, you've gotten bigger. That was the intent of what I was trying to pass across. The impact on that person was, you are body shaming me. The impact on that person is, this is what it means to me. However, thankfully, the person I said it to was mature enough to handle it. This person is like, you could almost call him a father to me. Is like a family friend. He could almost be my father. So it was easy for him to understand possibly where he was coming from. Like, well, you're still a kid, so it's just what you say, right? But I really like to take it from the perspective of this young person I was counseling the other day, where maybe friends just jokingly called him horrible. or maybe someone just jokingly called him fat. That was, and possibly the intent of that message was not to even body shame him. But some people are very sensitive. And this was where I was saying intent and awareness. On your side as a recipient, understand yourself well enough to know what you can take and what you cannot take. Because we usually talk about cyberbullying from the perspective of someone that is possibly behind their phone, like the previous speaker has just said, typing toward you just with the intent to attack. Once there is an intent that is aiming for attacking, that's clearly cyberbullying. I was about to share this story. I was checking someone's comments the other day. He posted a video, a wedding video, his own wedding video, and someone came under his page and said "weary." And I like how you did that. I like how you people looked like that, because that was the exact look on my face. Like, what do you mean? And to my absolute shock, the person also responded with a laugh emoji. That was when I then got to know that they are friends. And that's possibly how they relate to each other. Maybe it's just normal for them to call each other weary, right? But to me, merely reading the message, I didn't know the intent of the person that sent it. But the person that owns the page is aware of who sent him a message. And so he was able to understand the intent behind that message. The impact ended up being positive. So he's not one of those 131% of people that will most likely think of planning suicide because someone bullied them. Because we know that we have more likelihood of people thinking of going to die by suicide. A lot of people say commit suicide, but it's a wrong thing. People don't commit suicide. You're focusing on the crime and not the person. People die by suicide. So we understand that cyberbullying increases the likelihood of someone thinking that they want to kill themselves. Like this person I was talking about, the young student I was talking about, that went anorexic, stopped eating. If that continued for a longer period of time, I was so grateful he came for therapy, because to the glory of God, now he's doing better. Now he's doing fine. But if that had continued, he could have died from starvation. Why? Because somebody called him fat. Because somebody called him horrible. So the intent of a message and the impact really lies to awareness, right? And this comes down to self-awareness. It comes down to a function of, okay, who am I talking to at this point? I like how the previous speaker has said something along the lines of understanding social platforms. So for instance, you cannot tell me that you love your mental health and you open X account. What are you looking for? Like, who sent you? Who sent you? You say you value your mental health is a priority, and you're on Twitter. Who are you? And you are not just on Twitter. You are not bantering with people on Twitter. They will send you home. I don't know why did you go there? You need to be aware of the fact that now I'm not saying this to promote cyberbullying. I'm just saying people on Twitter have possibly gotten so used to it that their mental health is nothing to them. They can drag each other to the ends of the earth. But for your own sanity, be aware that someone will come to your comment for posting a picture and not tagging them. Thank you. Twitter is not for the weak. You post a picture, you did not tag anybody, and someone will randomly stumble on it and send it to your great-grandfather. Like, bro, I don't even know you. Like, from where to where? I don't understand. That kind of thing. And so this lack of awareness is really where impact is starting to deviate from intent. Now we understand that some people are intentionally coming for you. Like what the previous speaker said, politics, they came for her. That's an intentional now the intent that they are coming for you. That then guides how you take the impact, right? Because when the devil cannot do anything to you at the end of the day, even if it will hurt you, but at least you are prepared for it. It's like that. And so not understanding these things is really where we are sitting nowadays, and the fact that some people just like to be mean. So recently, between the second quarter and third quarter of 2024, can't we have a sane and balanced Twitter? Between the second quarter and third quarter of 2024, Facebook deleted over 7.8 million content on cyberbullying. So that was, say, between June of last year and, say, September, October of last year. Facebook had to delete over 7.8 million content. And then you see that there are so many policies on social media. There are some things you cannot type in full anymore on social media because they will ban your account, because they will delete your account. That's what we're facing now. Some people are just mean. Some people just like to be mean. And this is really a reflection of mental health issues. Nobody just chooses to be mean. That's what we understand from a psychological perspective. Oftentimes, many people that are choosing to be mean are deflecting something. They are covering up for something they do not have. They are lashing out in a manner of speaking, but we are not getting to the psychology of that or whatnot. But the effect of these things still happen. I'm taking training in psychology, and the demographic we're really focusing on right now is America. Between the last 20 years, America has prescribed 400 times more antidepressants. The number is alarming, is wild. 400 times more antidepressants. And if you look at some of those things that we're facing, about 26% of these mental health issues are linked to cyberbullying because somebody said something, because somebody did something. We have the same thing in Nigeria. The young person I'm talking about that went anorexic is a Nigerian, a student. So in terms of intent and impact, you need to be really aware. Know your lane. Stay on your lane. Don't go to Twitter, please. Stay on your lane. So that's it.
Rest. I'm going to say all you. There is something we call tone deafness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For people that doesn't really understand what tone deafness means, it means the inability to understand or appreciate the emotional implication of online communication. Some people just don't feel it. They don't care what happens when they just say. They just open their mouth, open their keyboard, and just start. So, Rest, in just 2 minutes.
Yeah.
From your experience as a mental health advocate and as an health practitioner, a psychologist as well, what role do you think online tone deafness play in creating unnecessary conflict or harm?
That's a really good question, and I like the fact that you threw that at me, because I would say that I have been, I don't like to put on a victim mentality, but I've seen that happen with me, where someone does not understand, because of the fact that the social space does not allow, especially when you're chatting, most likely you're not seeing what this person is saying, you're just reading what the person is saying. So I've seen that happen in my own case, where I sent something, and maybe because I forgot to add one emoji, or I did not put the other emoji, the person misunderstood what I said. And I have also been on the receiving end of that, where someone puts a crying emoji, and I actually thought they were sad, until I actually go to realize that that's just how the person types, right? And so it still comes down to understanding the intent, right? Online tone deafness has done a lot. We've seen breakups happen. I have counseled people, and I once asked a lady, so why are you here? She said she's depressed. I said, why? She said she broke up. I said, why? In fact, thinking of it, I'm still laughing. He said, I love you, and he did not put the emoji there. Right? I still think of it to this day, and it's still really funny to me. She said it does not communicate to me like it really means it. And so at the end of the day, I had to ask, have you thought of reaching out? Like, have you put a call through? She said, no, he didn't put a call through to me. That also shows that he does not really care, this and that. And then I was mind blown. But that's on the relationship aspect of things. even on the other aspect of things. So this person that I said called someone weary on his comment section, in front of the weary, he added 2 laugh emojis there. Right? And so one thing I've learned to do for myself is when I'm trying to
Weary that is laughing.
one thing I have tried to do, or I try to do when I'm saying something that I know is not so intense, I will intentionally put the most absurd number of laugh emojis there, so that you know that okay, maybe this is not so serious. Because to be very honest, online tone deafness actually does a lot in misconstruing the intent of the message. I think that just goes on to answer the question.
Thank you very much, Resta. Let me come back to, I'm coming back to my barrister, but let me go back to Temiloluwa. Temiloluwa, what harm is our emojis actually doing to our communication? And how does these emojis, how can they, people misuse them a lot. So in your own opinions, how do you think this can be categorized as cyberbullying to a larger extent? At least when it comes to intent and the impact of the message inside.
Okay, emoji. First of all, I'm not exactly an emoji person. I only send emojis when you are very close to me. Maybe we're friends.
Why is that?
Because it's just common courtesy. I feel like it irritates me a lot when I send a long, okay, so this has happened to me before because I have to manage different things. And so when I send a long epistle of information on a group and what I get is a reaction, God, something sparks in me. That all after this, so you mean after all these long epistles, what I get is just oh God, or just an emoji. God, it annoys me a lot. And so I think it's just basically common courtesy. We need to understand that emojis only work for people that you are very close to. You know, it works for friends, it works for even for somebody that I call maybe my husband or my lover or something. Sometimes I would prefer that you express yourself in words, not using not using emoji per se, because except you are very close to me, that is when I get to use the same way. I don't like communicating with voice notes, especially if you are not very close to me. The first thing I say when I want to use a voice note is I apologize for using these voice notes and all of those things. But you barely see me, using emoji. And I feel like it's just like a common courtesy, when someone sends a message to you, just express yourself in words. Because I feel like the emoji thing is, I see a lot of young people that I mentor, and then they send me emojis and I'm like, okay, even me, I don't send emoji to my mentors. I don't send emoji to my mentors. So I think that there's also the need for us to understand why these emojis were created in the first place. For instance, if I say, oh, I'm tired, I'm stressed, I think I was chatting with Leonard recently that I'm mentally stressed and all of those things. I used an emoji that had like a headband or something to express that I'm stressed even after typing the message. So I think there's also the important for you to read the room, before you send out emojis. Just try and read the room. For instance, the reason why I sent this emoji was because after Rest was done speaking, he laughed. And so I felt like, okay, now it's time for us to laugh. So I sent in the emoji. So had it been that he didn't laugh, what that sends to me is that this is not funny for me. This is a true life experience and it's not funny. So I just keep it to myself. But if it does, sometimes I even say lol. I mean, laugh. What's the full meaning? Lot of laughs. Yeah. I barely even use the lot of laughs thing. I just say, oh, very funny, sometimes. So, and it is not to say, yeah, there are some of us that are not socially inclined, that are not social people, but we don't mix. That's why I said we play a lot in Nigeria about so many things. We play a lot. We do play a lot. So that's a thin line, basically. If you're in the corporate space and you are chatting with your boss, I chat with my boss a lot. day, night, because our work has to do with, we carry work everywhere that we go. So if I'm chatting with my boss, even if he's making jokes, I need to also be careful that, Ogbeni, don't forget that this person is your boss. So there are some things that you don't communicate. So even if my boss sent an emoji to me, I literally don't have the right to send an emoji back to him. It's just common courtesy that as far as is your boss and is trying to make a joke, then there's also that place where you just have to, create that level of respect, So I feel a lot of people then now hide behind. You see, this laughter emoji is the most dangerous one, because in your mind you're chatting with this person. That's why I prefer physical communication, I mean verbal communication, to written communication. So in your mind now, someone sent a message, let's say for instance Bayonle just typed a message and I just laughed about it. If I was not close to Bayonle, I wouldn't have sent that emoji that I sent, basically. So in your mind, you feel like what this person said is funny. You now send this particular emoji. Unfortunately, it's not funny. And what you just sent might trigger anger or something. So the emoji thing, I think that it should be understudied and we should know when to use them. But for me, personally, I only use emojis when you are close to me, we are having fun, we are discussing something, and I also know when not to use it. So I think ignorance, just like Rest said, we take a lot of things for granted. Ignorance is a problem, actually. Ignorance is a problem. And I think that we need to always be conscious. Let me just put it that way. Be conscious of how we used some of these tools. Yeah, they are fun, but sometimes it triggers some things. And I'm like, what's funny? What's funny? Yeah, so yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Luluwa, for that part. So I see one of my guys in the building, Byron Lee is in the building, but he's joining us. I'm going to bring him up to say one or two things because I know we had an encounter with this kind of discussion before, and I would want to pick his brain about it as well. Mujib is smiling that here. Byron Lee is on the call. Wahala.com. All right. Mujib, let me come to you. From your legal perspective, on your legal opinion, how do we reconcile individual rights with the collective need for safety online?
I don't get that.
How do we reconcile individual rights with the collective need for safety online?
Okay, like I said earlier, I said the most important thing for us to do is to be able to do the distinction between the Cybercrime, the provision of the Cybercrime Act, and the provision in the Constitution. Now, the provision is clear enough. You have the right to say anything you want, but once the right is being like offensive towards another, you should know you are crossing the line. Now, the provision go ahead to say, like the provision under the Cybercrime Act, go ahead to say, you must not publish anything like against anybody intentionally, just like what the two speakers have said earlier. Like anything that has to do with intentional or malicious, like let me use the terminology, like malicious publication against someone, like you have the intent to cause damage to someone, you should know that you are crossing the line. And again, if you are writing a statement about someone, a statement backed by fact and evidence, that's one of the things you will see. Okay, you should having an evidence with the statement you are making, then you should know you are still within your right to make such statement. Okay, for instance, there was I think last year or upper year when Mr. Ojukwu of FIJ published something about one of the senior specialists to the president, like Mrs. Adefuli. In his report, he alleged that that lady was paid some amount of money, like over $100,000, into an account of a restaurant, and the money was meant to renovate and to provide chairs to some classrooms in a school. So now, in his report, when if you read the report very well, you could see that he provided evidence, CSC documents, and evidence about the money was paid into the was paid to him to execute the project and how she failed to do so. Glaring evidence. So you will see that it is still within his individual right to say what he has seen. So assuming in his report he failed to provide anything, just a statement. Adefulere paid some money meant for government projects into a restaurant account without any evidence, without anything backing up the statement. Then you should know that it's not within the general rule of the section 39 of the Constitution again. He has been trampling upon the lady's rights. So now, examining that kind of report in relation to the question, you could see that the instrument of question came into play, because after that report, what happened next was he was arrested, taken into any place, and it requires the effort and protest of journalists and civil society before he was released. Then after then, no one heard anything about the story again, or anything about investigating into what was alleged in the story. So you can see that in Nigeria today, people know, all of us, we know what we are doing, but we are just trying to use laws, because the laws have two sides. Either you use this for yourself or use it against yourself. People are using the other side of law to gain advantage over others. So basically, if you are making statements backed by facts, then you are still within your right to make such statements, no matter how. But if it's a blank statement, then it is tilting towards maliciousness and an intention to damage someone's reputation. I think that answers the question.
Whoa, that's deep. So before you post online, check, do you have the facts right? If you don't have the facts right, like what people will do, we'll say, WWJD, what would Jesus do? Think about it before you post, before you enter problem. All right, let me tilt a bit now. This is unconventional, but in fact, place of liberties, unconventional is our thing. Yeah. I saw Mr. Bayonle on the call, and I would like to pick his brain because of his vast experience in the media space and research and other things. So let's talk about when theory meets reality in the experience of individuals online. Activates, teenagers, public figures, they often face extreme scrutiny and harassment. Sometimes what starts as speaking out gets into digital aggression. Mr. Benale, if you can hear me, how do you think we could better protect vulnerable population like youth and whistleblowers online?
All right, thank you, Leon, for the opportunity. And yes, this is quite sudden. And as I was following up on the conversation, I want to appreciate the level of thought given to how important this subject matter is. Now, having said that, I also want to give credence to the guests on the conversation today, Temi and Muji, for giving a very, very balanced view about it. However, let me address your question first before I proceed to giving you my piece of two call, because that's what it's going to be. How best can we protect young people from being vulnerable on social media or the internet is by setting guidelines, by making the values very, very plain. For instance, you have a child celebrity, like a young person who is getting popular or getting used to in the internet. It's important that you make the rules very, very clear. You're on the internet because of a particular activity, or you're on the internet because you provide value. You're on the internet because you are able to do X, Y, Z. It is not your right to be on the internet at this young age. If you communicate these values to this person, no matter their age or, their age range, it's very, very easy to control. What you do not permit, you cannot control. It's very, very simple. Most times we allow unrestricted use of the internet, and then vulnerable people who do not know what extent of ill or damage or violence that can happen are exposed to these things. And that's why I appreciate what Temilolu and the other guest is doing, providing legal and social implications of how to use the internet or how you use the social media space, especially when it concerns your mental health. Now, having said that emphatically, it's important that we understand what the rules are. And this is where my two piece comes in that it is not, it's good to understand the challenges that surround the usage and probably the how these things affect our mental health. However, on the flip side of it, you see, it's high time we stopped amplifying the problems. It's time we start charting a course for way forward. So I've heard several times people say, "Oh, avoid Twitter." It has even been said here today that Twitter is not for the weak. While that is true, realistically speaking, while that is quite very, very correct and true, it's high time we start building a safe Twitter, honestly. So I put myself on Twitter and I say, see, Nigerians might choose to be naughty, give savage replies, want to do X, Y, Z. But as far as you create a space for yourself where you choose to be, to only speak and share what is safe, and you keep to the guidelines that these speakers have been, don't say what is not backed up by fact, don't intentionally hurt people, don't just say things because of your emotions, we can create a safe Twitter. So if a child goes up to hear, "Oh, Twitter is not for the weak," does that mean we cannot advance constructive conversations on Twitter? I'm aware of a think tank libertarian organization who advances conversations like this on Twitter, and they do it fantastically well. In fact, the _SARS protests could thrive because we had a space like Twitter, because we could communicate and things were happening. Change was, created, and we had the sporadic, spontaneous creation of a movement, if you want to call it that, for lack of the appropriate words to use. It is high time we stopped promoting the bad usage of some of these tools. We can promote and emphasize on the good usage. Twitter is not for the weak, but can we remove those who are making it not for the weak? Why not? Twitter is supposed to be for the weak. You can come on your WhatsApp status and say, "Oh, I'm feeling XYZ. I'm feeling XYZ on my WhatsApp status." If you say anyhow, I block you. Tomorrow you won't see it again. Now that means, so after some time, let me give a very personal example, and then I will let you continue the conversation. Someone reached out to me and said, "Oh, I've not been seeing your status recently. What happened?" I said, "Oh, sorry, I blocked you." I blocked you. Why? Yes, I would not lie. Why? Why should I lie that I blocked you? It's a decision I had to take because I realized that each time I post, you are not within the same wavelength as my thoughts. So you get all my posts wrongly. You comment wrongly. And I have addressed this once, twice. You don't want to agree with me. You don't want to be consistent with the conversation. I blocked you. That does not mean I cannot. Now, I've had a safe WhatsApp status since I blocked this person. Honestly speaking. Now, the person reached out and I explained it. I said, "This is why I blocked, because I like this. Oh, I am sorry. This is," and then I unblocked the person. And since then, the person has been seeing my status. And then when the person wants to comment, let me shock you, the person is an elderly person. Yeah. And I said, so yes, the person is an elderly person. And you know what that means in the cultural implications of this. And, subsequently after that time, after I post and then the person sees my status, I said, "Oh," and I sense somebody is typing this response. I'm like, yes, now we are building a safe space for both of us. That's WhatsApp. Now, let's bring this same conversation to Twitter. If someone gives a very malicious statement, something that is not true, Mujib knows that, fact-checked it for us. Temilolu has assessed this, knows that this is not good for the reputation of whoever is involved. Someone is being attacked and being bullied online. Can we report this page and bring it down? And then tomorrow morning, if you try to bring down your page, people do it on TikTok more than they do it on Twitter. Yes. So, and why is this? Because we have agreed that Twitter is the place, quote unquote, for mad people. It's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be. So the problem is there. People are very malicious. People are very, very wild, very, very crazy on Twitter. But that's the problem. Now, what's the solution? let's create safe spaces on social media. People's mental health are very, very serious. I changed my display picture about 2 days ago, and someone called me. He called me in the morning, and later I was unreachable in the morning. So he reached out later in the night through WhatsApp call and said, I've been calling you all day. Your normal line is not going. Why is so? I mean, what's happening on your display picture? And I explained. That is to show you that this is the person I've not spoken to in this year. This is May. I've not spoken to this person this year. That means I have created a safe WhatsApp space for myself. Can we do the same for Twitter? If you bring up a very discontented post about someone and we know the truth, can we bring up the truth and challenge them? Stop saying trash. This is the truth. You cannot say this. And then we do the needful and stop allowing Twitter to be for only the strong people that can, people who do not have a credible lineage that can be abused and dragged. They will drag you on Twitter. Why must we allow dragging on Twitter? Why did we allow dragging? Because we silently enjoy.
Finally, yes. I will have to stop you. Our time is
let's create safe spaces on all social media platforms and watch our mental health. If it's not comfortable for you, you can cut off, and you can cut the other person off too if they are not making it comfortable for you. Thank you so much, Leon. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, man. I know once I pass the microphone to you, you won't stop talking. Viola is a very good friend. We've been together for some years now, and we've done a whole lot of things together. So when I see him on the call, I can't just bring him up. Like I said, that's an unconventional part. It's not part of the speaker today, but if Viola is on the call, man, you want to hear him. And guess what? You just enjoy what he said. So let me come back to my speakers. Thank you, Viola. Rest. Let me come to you first. Just in just a few seconds. What advice would you give to someone facing online harassment right now as your profession?
That's a really nuanced question and a really good one, because online harassment could range from one thing to another. So is there like a specific context, or do you just mean generally?
General online harassment.
So one, know your limits and know who can handle what's beyond your limits. So someone is harassing you. Can you handle it? So for instance, if someone was harassing the barista, for instance, he knows what to do. He knows the legal steps to take. He knows how to take you down. But if you know you're not in the position where you can actually do these things, please reach out for help. Find who can help you where you're limited, right? And also, harassment is not always because you did something. Like we've said multiple times, some people just tend to be mean. So for instance, you see rape cases and the first question they ask is, what did she do? What did she wear? Why is she dressed like that? The same thing could go for online harassment. The first question could be, what did you post? It could be that gaslighting. Harassment is not necessarily because you are on the wrong side. Some people just happen to be who they are. So to stay safe, please reach out for help. I understand that the country we live in, there's still a lot of stigma around mental health issues. There's still a lot of things to be done, but there are people out there to help you. There are people out there to support you. So you're going through harassment, please reach out for help. Please speak up. Don't die in silence. We really care about you. That's all I have to say for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Remember his slogan sometimes it goes, speak up or shut up. But this time around, don't shut up. Rest is staying. Speak up. Now, let me come to Temnolua. Temnolua, are you still with us?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
great.
still here.
What are 3 things users should consider first before they click the send button and post online? What would you say that 3 things you should consider before you click that send button?
Okay, so for me, the first thing you should consider is read between the lines. Sorry, let me turn on my video. So the first thing I would advise to consider is read between the lines, before you post. I think it was the barrister that said that, do your research, find out. And then the second speaker talked about mental health and stuff like that. So I think for me is that just read between the lines before you post stuff on social media. Read between the lines. See, even if you are posting comments, read between the lines. Get it right first. See what are the words that you could use that could hurt somebody. Yeah, that's like number one for me. Then I think the second thing for me is that um know the person you are engaging with, know your audience. Yes, can you hear me? Some people say they can't hear me. Okay, so yeah, thank you. So I think that it's also important to know the audience, know when to respond and when not to respond. It's very important. Know your audience even when you are responding. Know the kinds. I can't misuse the opportunity of Okonjo-Iweala posting on social media, and I want to put a comment, and the first thing I'm putting out is an insult. I mean, taking a picture with Okonjo-Iweala will open doors for me. I know taking a picture with
It
Obi
won't open door.
Ezekwesili
It
has.
will open stadium. It will open stadium.
I know what posting a picture with Obi Ezekwesili has done for me, you know. So not now that's like ending my career before it even started. So even if it's not to support that, oh, if they say nonsense online, I have to support them. The question is, do I have to respond? So if I am going to respond, how objective or how reasonable can I sound if I want to? It's just like my dad is basically like that, you know. You want to send a message to my dad and you are not thinking, you have to think first before you even have a conversation with him. Yes, you're a daddy's girl, but you have to think first because whatever you say might be used against you in the court of law. So do you even have to respond at all? That's the question. Do you even have to respond at all? Then the third thing is that I believe that let's not ignore things. Let's be curious, be inquisitive. I think Barrister has said a lot of things today that I didn't even know they existed in our constitution. I just know that in my line of work, you don't just go on social media, respond or post anything, in my line of work, because you could be misunderstood. I've not even posted things. People are already saying I'm rich. And it sends the wrong signal. And people already feel like, oh, I have enough garden where I just raise young people. I just monitor them. I just supervise them. I just say that, oh, this is what you are going to become in the future, and I start raising you and all of those things. So you never can tell. So just don't ignore things. Things like we've mentioned emoji, thumbs up. You can't be chatting with your boss and you're using thumbs up. Okonjo-Iweala cannot be saying something and you're putting smiling emoji. You can't be. That's why I love LinkedIn. I do LinkedIn a lot. That's why I love LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is for, I'm sorry, this is for lack of better word, is for sensible people. So if you are not sensible, people will just rubbish you. And yeah, you have even posted something reasonable, you are getting 2 3 engagements, not to now talk of posting rubbish. So I think that don't ignore things, especially if you are in the corporate space or you are in the creative space. Don't say all contents are contents. Try and stand out. Even those that do content creation, they have their niche. You can't compare Tauma's niche to Josh Too Funny niche. They are two different things. So how do you want people to approach you on social media? And I think that for Twitter, basically, because the center of this conversation this evening is Twitter. But the truth is that Twitter and controversies are blood brothers. I remember I mistakenly posted a fact. I didn't double check. And then I posted, and I didn't know that that was going straight to a particular ethnicity, that was addressing a particular ethnicity. And then before I knew what was happening, over 800 like comments and all of those things. And my boss was like, Demi, what did you do? Like, and I'm like, what? So I went to read the caption. So the problem was in the caption, not in the design that was posted. So I went back to check the caption and I knew that there was an error in that caption. And I'm like, look at these people. For the past how many months we have been posting, we barely even had engagement. Now, because we posted something and so, but unfortunately, we had to bring down, that. And you never know, the way social media works these days. You never know. They will just go and pick up. That's how I found one of my articles on Twitter. I think last year or so, someone just posted it and wrote my name as the original owner of that article. And I was just scrolling through. No, I think on IG. I was just scrolling through and I found out that I wrote a story about 𝐲𝐸𝐞𝐞𝐫𝐞, Elewashapu. And then I'm like, okay, so this is how these things work. And the same organization had posted on Twitter, I think last year or 2 years ago, and I was being tagged. And someone came to my DM and was like, Shay, you know that they are mentioning you, like you're trending on Twitter right now. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm trending, let me go and check. So I went to check. I got a lot of screenshots and everything. So you never know, who is going to screenshot your statements. Oga for the Twitter boys now, people like Dino Melaye and all of those guys, they have tough skin. They are ready to give you back to back. But of course, you would recall that they will go and screenshot. They have it in their record. They'll go and screenshot a statement that Dino Melaye had said when Obasanjo was president or when Jonathan was president. So someone is saying I have your picture in my phone. Okay. So I think that let's just not, ignore some of these things because you never know. It might be that you want to work in chef. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Exactly what we are saying.
Oh my God. I don't even have this picture myself. I can't even remember where I took the picture from. I think this was Tanzania also. I can't even remember where I took this picture. So that is exactly what we're saying. Oh, Dar es Salaam, can you imagine? So we met in Tanzania. So can you imagine, what just happened? So don't just ignore because people are watching, so to say, and they can take. I've seen people take screenshots of, my quotes on WhatsApp status, and I've seen somebody who actually took a screenshot of me and my fiance and then posted it on a group chat. And then I became a topic of discussion. So since that day, I said, you know what? I'm not gonna go past now. I posted it on a group that has over, I think, 70 people or thereabouts, and they were like, "Oh, congratulations, 𝐸𝐞𝐞." I say, "Uncle, what's happening? What just happened?" And he apologized and brought down the picture. So, but you never know. So just don't ignore things. When you post on, think before you post. Yeah.
Thank you so very much. Oh, it's been a very conversational time. Wow, we spent 1 hour, 30 minutes already. And that's the height of what we were talking about today. But as we close, yeah, here's the reminder. Freedom of speech is not freedom from accountability. As you're speaking, there is responsibility. Therefore, we all have roles to play in promoting respectful, inclusive, and safe online community. Like they've all said, if you know you don't have a thick skin, please don't go to Twitter. But at the same time, can we create a safe Twitter that is safe for everybody to be in? That can also work. So let us continue to speak up and not shut up. Let us speak up and not tear down. Think before you speak. Speak with empathy. Teach empathy. And let us not try to amplify hate. And at the same time, can we protect the vulnerable and never, ever excuse abuse? If we all know the right from wrong, and we all know the wrong from right, at least from our beliefs. If you get to another culture, some of us have the culture of nothing is right, everything is wrong. Nothing is wrong, everything is right. It's all about perspectives. But when your perspective, when your belief says something is wrong, then don't excuse them. So, thank you to our panelists and to everybody who have had the opportunity to be on this call tonight. Let's keep the conversation going, online or offline and all. So as we wrap up, I'll give our panelists 30 seconds to give their parting words for us to start. Let's start with the barrister. We started with him in the beginning. Barrister Mujib, 30 seconds. Parting words for okay, rest. If we don't have Barrister Mujib available, rest, are you there?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. 30 seconds.
So, okay, I congratulate everyone, the graduating fellows, because I believe you must have learned a lot. Because even this session alone it's a knowledge, it's a very good knowledge sharing session, and I wish everyone the best. As you said, we should all continue the conversation, online and offline. We should all be advocating for the inclusion of a clear provision for the exception to the provision of Cybercrime Act and the provision in the Constitution, so everyone can have a safer environment and a saner togetherness. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Barrister Mujib Abdul-Wasi. Rest essence. Let's have your parting words.
Okay, thank you very much. Get back off. It's been an expository session. Because of the fact that I work in the mental health space, what I would just like to say is something Mr. Leonard has said I really like, which is we are all responsible. We've been talking about cyberbullying. As easy as it is to deflect it to other people, do you cyberbully people? The statistics, let's even leave statistics. This is why I deal with mental health issues are rising. Cyberbullying is one of these factors, is one of the contributing factors to mental health issues. So be that one person that says, I'm going to take a stance and fight against cyberbullying. We can all together make sure that the world is one better place to live in. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rest Essence. Kemi Lolua, 30 seconds.
All right. So what I'm going to say is that just understand your core strength. In terms of social media, just identify your core strengths. For me, LinkedIn works for me. WhatsApp works for me. Why? Because on my WhatsApp, I have, wide, range of networks. And so, just know what works for you, what social media works for you. On IG, I just want to watch cruise. I just want to watch celebrity enjoy themselves. So understand what works for you, what social media works for you. And if you don't have to comment, nobody is going to take you for it. So just if you don't want to comment, don't. If you are not sure of the kind of comments, don't try it on Twitter. Don't even think you can't think before posting on Twitter, because they will come for you. So yeah, I think that's what I want to say. Don't bully anybody. It's very important. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Kemi Lolua. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you want to continue this conversation in the chat box, I've dropped it there. Please reach out at fellowship.flistomit.xyz. Sorry, fellowship at flistomit.xyz. That is the email that we're going to be using to respond to any conversation regarding this topic. And please, if you are not following us before, our social media platform is at Face of Liberty HQ. Face of Liberty HQ on all social media platforms. Anything you can think of, we are on all social media platforms. And trust me, we don't bully. We wouldn't bully you. Those cyberbullying or physical bullying. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate every one of you in here and those out there watching from different parts of the continent. From the Face of Liberty House headquarters, this is FLI Broadcast. You have a lovely weekend.